Come, imagine with us.
Can and may we, in present-day Berlin, imagine a Middle East unified in peace and equality?
Across national borders and religious and lingual divisions.
With literature, discourse, and music.
Cinema, performance, poetry, special feminist and queer discussions.
The 4-day Middle East Union Festival, with guests from all over the world, makes this vision seem within reach and invites you to freely explore ideas of utopia.
Come, imagine with us.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for another digital panel of the Middle East Union Festival. We have an exciting panel for you. It's called Agents of Change, Pioneering Female MENA Voices in Film and TV. This panel is organized in a collaboration with Women Creating Change, WCC. WCC fosters a thriving multicultural community of Middle Eastern and North African women in entertainment through collaboration and professional development. WCC is dedicated to promoting tolerance and solidarity. The panel would be moderated by Monia Ayashi. Monia Ayashi is a multilingual Belgian-Tunisian actress, director, voiceover artist, producer, singer, and writer. She's been working extensively in front and behind the camera. Her credits include working for NBC, ABC, Netflix, and more. We will see now a short video about WCC and then go to the panel.
Women Creating Change is an organization.
No, it's a community.
No, it's home. Home.
For women in entertainment.
From the Middle East and North Africa.
Because we are more alike than we have ever realized.
No matter the religion.
We've had similar upbringings.
Similar traditions.
Even similar foods.
So we all claim that we cook it better.
Some of us were born in the States.
Others have immigrated to America
and left our families behind.
We all came to Los Angeles
to pursue our dreams,
to inspire
and empower
through our unique voices and perceptions.
By working together,
we not only help each other,
but serve as an example to the world.
That religion
and politics do not define who we are
and how we connect.
We champion creative and inclusive collaborations
through film and TV
and establish a safe space
for peaceful coexistence.
To strengthen our community, we offer mentorship programs,
workshops,
showcases,
screenings,
panel discussions with leading experts in entertainment,
or even just simple advice.
A warm and listening ear when you need it.
We aim to spotlight and impact
the cultural and gender inequality
facing Middle Eastern women in entertainment.
And believe that together,
we
are more powerful.
Because our similarities
are similarities.
Our similarities
are greater than our differences.
Hello, everybody. Today we're here with incredibly talented MENA female filmmakers who work across TV and film, Azadeh Nagzadeh, Hagar Banasher, and Maisalun Hamoud, to talk about their experience as MENA filmmakers and the dream of a unified Middle Eastern Union and how that could help filmmakers in the MENA region. I'm Monia Ayashi, and I'm honored to be here with you ladies. How's everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. Awesome. All right, so tell us a little about you, where you're from, where you currently live, and what your role is in the industry. Whoever wants to take that. Anyone.
Okay, so I'll start. My name is Hagar. I'm an Israeli. I live in Israel, in Tel Aviv. I'm a writer and director. I've been working in the business. I don't know how you call it. I've been doing films for 12 years, I guess, something like that, and hoping to do it for the rest of my life. Anything else I should say at this point?
No, I think that's great. Azada, do you want to go next?
Yes, I'm an Iranian filmmaker and started filmmaking there and had a chance to study with actually one of the most famous Iranian filmmakers, Abbas Kiarostami. And then I immigrated to the USA 9 years ago. And since then, I'm more focused on making political, human rights, and social issues films. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to my career here in the USA.
Awesome. Thank you. My Saloon.
Yeah. Hi, thank you for inviting. مساء الخير. So I am my Saloon Hamoud. I used to be a teacher, and then I started to learn film school at the same school that Hagar studied, and she was the, I think, first graduation classes, and I think that it was the first one, Hagar. And it was a very, very successful graduation they have with a lot of interesting movies. So I thought this is the place that I want to study. And yeah, and since that, in writing, directing, now also start to produce with my husband, Arachawat. He's a production designer, and I'm a very fresh mother. Laila is the new part of the family and for the journey. I actually lived at Jaffa like almost 14 years, but for these last 3 years, I am in Tel Aviv, and it was a hell with the corona, and we are going back to Jaffa. So everything, I think, will be fine soon. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you, and congrats on the new motherhood title. That's amazing. Awesome. All right, so can you tell us a little bit about your experiences as women identifying filmmakers working in the MENA region? Anything that stands out to, if anyone wants to?
Yeah, you know, like for me, like because I had the opportunity to work in Iran, I made a film also in Korea, and also making films in the USA. I can say what I really love about like Middle East and like MENA region in general is that it's very diverse, and it has a very rich heritage, and it's also a region that is still changing, and demands change and wants to evolve into something better and something bigger. And there are a lot of issues there that needs to be addressed, like a lot of political issues, a lot of social issues. And so what is very interesting about filmmaking in that region is that films are kind of like social activism. You know, they're so powerful, and you know, especially in Iran, when we were making films, we had to put you know, like inside that story, we were able to put kind of political ideas and messages, or like social messages, and raise questions. And in the USA, it's not exactly like that. You know, I'm not saying that such type of films are not made, but it's stronger in that region. And I think that's something that I kind of miss, like having this filmmaking that is more like social and thought-provoking. These are the type of activities that I like to do. Yeah, that's my opinion. I think that's how it is, like the beauty of filmmaking in that region.
I wanna continue that point, as I have to say that I am a Palestinian Israeli citizen, and this is a complexity that I think rare to meet and to deal with, and it creates a very specific situation. Like for the region, we as a Palestinian, it's very naturally to be apart, of course, from all the Arabs or the Iranian, but actually in the fact is totally the opposite, because of course the political situation that we live is I think it's not really option to work and collaborate with the artists that we dream to work with, and of course we have to talk about the BDS as an action, political strong actions that I am very part of that action, and it's created like we are Israeli for the region, and for the Israeli we are Palestinians, and then it's from each side we are like I have to say. But I have to tell about my private personal experience. So since my first feature, I couldn't stop like trying to really create something with from people that I love to work from the region. So I made the music for Barbahar with a Lebanese musician that he is very, very important one at the underground music. All the world, of course, knows him, but the real name of him doesn't exist inside the credits, and it was like it's so as I said fucked up for us to not give the credit for the person who did it, but it was the price that we should pay. So this is the first thing. And now, actually, I started to work on my next feature, Casino Beirut, and I write it. The script will be with a Beirutean guy that I met in London, and we thought that we have a lot of in common, but I couldn't start work with him if I didn't decide like from the beginning that the movie and all the process will be out when we will be out of here. Like we will move me and like my family to Barcelona for good, and like this is part of the decision that we want to leave actually the region, that we could work with people from the region. It's crazy, yes, you have to be Europeans, and my husband will get the Portugalian citizenship, so we'll be Europeans in that. So it's crazy that we need to leave to be something else, to have a chance to work with people from the region that we want to work. So this is my personal experience in this specific issue.
Thank you for sharing that. Hagar, is there anything that you want to add about your particular experiences?
You know, I'm listening to the smart ladies, and I can't help thinking that, you know, I live in Tel Aviv. I was born in Israel. I was born an Israeli, and in the shit chain called this region, I'm the privileged one. Okay, I mean, Tel Aviv is not Israel. Tel Aviv is a liberal city that, for me, has no boundaries as the privileged one in the shit chain. And I can say that my perspective on this particular issue is that I think this idea that I live in Tel Aviv, I'm a privileged woman living in Tel Aviv, born in Israel, and I think that puts me in a constant conflict. I mean, there is the political reality that surrounds me, but at the same time, there are other things that interest me as a woman and as a human being, and it's very hard for me to overcome this conflict, because in one hand, I live in a country that missiles are being shot at. In the second hand, I don't stand for what my country does. And in the third aspect of the conflict, I just stand as a human being with a personal story. And I think that this conflict that I have and I need to find in what am I representing, because I can't represent everything and I don't want to represent anything. I just want to tell a good story. I think maybe the biggest issue in working here as a woman, as an Israeli, with the political conflict and the problems that it brings. I can say that the first political, let's say, movie that I ever did, I actually did in the US, which is kind of strange. I did a film about women on death row, and it was a very, very humanistic film about how barbaric US can be and is with the death penalty. And it's a surprising thing for me, because here I dealt only with my stories, maybe politics of gender, but never with the conflict, as they say. And I think I had to move away from here to find within me the possibility to do something that is political, but it's not my politics.
I think it's why these types of conversations are so important to have. And it's so beautiful that we can come together as one, you know, Israeli, Palestinians, Iranians, Tunisians, whatever it is, with one love, which is art and which is filmmaking, and how we can take that to hopefully change the world, right? So I think I feel very fortunate to be here with you guys today, and, you know, having this conversation. So thank you so much for that. Of course. How does working in the MENA region compare to other countries? Azada, you kind of like touched on that a little bit. Is there anything you want to add, or Hagar or Maysalun, anything that?
I think so I kind of like have the perspective of all Asia. And I think the main problem, especially in Iran, and then also in Korea, in Japan, It's like that there is not, or there are not a lot of women in technical aspects. For example, you know, Iran cinema go back to 120 years, but still to this point we don't have a successful DP or like a cinematographer. And when you say successful, meaning her film is actually screening in like big film festivals and getting awards. That's the meaning of success. And that was I think that was the most important challenge when I was working there, because like working with men, very challenging, and that is true even like for Korea and Japan. That was like they're there to test you, to test your knowledge, and to test your self-esteem and all that. So usually like when we go on set for the first day or two, it's just like you have to prove yourself, and you have to make sure that you don't accept suggestions and everything comes from you, and you show like strong self-esteem. And in that sense, it kind of helped me in the USA, because here it's so good, you know, everything is so normal. And I never had that. And the second thing that is kind of true all over Asia is some level of censorship. You know, like, and you know, I'm from Iran, and the censorship is crazy there, and that's why I left the country and I came to the USA, because I literally wasn't able to make any films in Iran anymore. Yeah, so it was very sad. Like it's like, okay, I have to choose between being a filmmaker or you know, and like my career, or I have to choose like my family. And you know, like right now I kind of go back to Iran, which is very emotionally difficult. But yeah, so that's the price that kind of we have to pay. And it's like for Americans, it's just like they don't get it, they don't understand it. And yeah, I think it's very difficult, but I prefer to be bold and to express myself and to make the film that I want to make and to tell the story that I want to tell, rather than just hiding and just, you know. And I just hope that things get better one day.
Love that. Hagar, Marcelo, anything that stands out for you for working in the MENA region compared to other countries that you might have worked in?
I can talk about actually money side, if we can talk about the real issues that we don't have really industry. We don't have really like professional crews, masses as you know, Europe or US, and on the top of that, there is no investing money. There's no private money inside because of that, it's not an industry, because the money that we work with is a governmental money. So they can also, as the censorship talking is so strong, even it's as in Israel, self-censorship more and more. And of course, in all the region, we know that you probably cannot talk about anything really if it's not entertainment. And this is, I think, basically come because of the money issue. But there is no you know, the first rule in the industry or cinema industry is the taxes, that who can invest can have back his own taxes, and this is make it a business. This is here, it's not a business, it's art. it's activism, it's trying to tell stories differently, but it's not really industry. So it's big different than any really big industries at the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. Hagar, anything you want to share?
Maybe just if I'm going back to the question itself, it's funny because maybe that's the only good thing I have to say about, let's say, working in Israel, is that, you know, in the US now there is the diversity code. You know, that is, you need to have as a director or a producer, you get a tablet in which you need to sign that you took several African Americans and several women and several, I don't know, boring people and several analphabetic people, I don't know, whatever, some sort of criteria that they come up with that day. And you need to bend yourself in order to match some sort of abstract criteria. Mm-hmm. Of course, it has its beautiful sides. I'm not jumping against that, but what I can say in pro of where I've been working in the last, I don't know, 12 years, I can say that that in a very, very strange way and unpredicted way, Israel towards me was a liberal place to work. I never had an issue being a woman.
As you said, as the privileged one here.
Of course, but you know, that is my story in the sense of, you know, it's that's what I said. In my perspective and towards me, you know, this was a place that was welcoming all sorts of experiments in the sake of art. And you know, if I'm jumping on what my saloon said, I think it's an interesting thing that because it's government money, so, and you're not a part of an industry and the cycle of an industry, like in the US, you end up having both artistic liberty, but the exact same opposite at the same time. It's I don't know if there's the saying in English, like a bear hug. So, you know, that's basically where we live in. And I think both as women and both as, you know, filmmakers in this place that is not an industry, but more a platform to express ideas, which has its beauty, but also not. So, you know.
Of course. Yeah, it's interesting.
I gotta say something. I want to say that also in the USA, it's not that easy. It's industry, which means that it's extremely competitive and it's more like who you know. It's all about connection, and it's very, very difficult if you're, for example, someone like me, you're an immigrant, you're not connected to anyone, and then you want to make your feature film, and you know the criteria that you have to have. You know, it's very, very difficult in that sense. Sometimes maybe having some sort of governmental help might improve and might be better, you know. But yeah, I want to say that it's not even like being an industry, it makes it even more competitive. And yeah, it's not that easy, I promise you, even in the USA.
I have to say, as I didn't yet started my industrial work at cinema, but as a CAA agency that representing me, this is done like the next stage for work, and all this year about meeting and trying to create this network, and I have to say that inside the American industry, there is now momentum for the stories that we, as non-American, non-English speakers, non-white people, every like studios, producers, companies, searching for these stories, and I don't know if you already feel that from your experience, but I feel that now there is a opportunity for the stories from the region to get internationally more and more, because this momentum that I think the world is full of the same stories with the white men and all that, stories that we got enough. And now with Hagar said that the diversity that it's get us like crazy to approach at that from the American maybe point of view, how they deal with that. But for us, I think now there's an opportunity, and I hope that we can really take it like forward for the next. I hope.
Mm-hmm. I think, I think you're correct. And I think with the technology that's out there now, with all the streaming platforms that are completely international, there's definitely an opportunity to showcase whatever you're making to a much broader audience, right? Yeah. So where it used to be a little bit more limited, on a national level or like a regional level, now you can make something and the entire world can see it. And they can dub it and they can keep it in original. And so like there's a thirst for content. That's absolutely true. So it's an exciting time, I think, with its challenges, like Hagar said, like obviously, with, the diversity quota and all of that. But I think it's, at the same time, a very, very exciting time. Talking about exciting times, what was your best experience as a filmmaker and why?
Oh,
Hagar, you wanna take that one?
Oh gosh. Generally, maybe as a filmmaker, maybe it's a sad thing to say, maybe, but I think that shooting my short maybe was the best time I had doing film. I think it was the most passionate project that I ever did, and I had no expectations of what it would do and where it would go, and I couldn't care less. It was a suicide mission, and I really, really miss that feeling, in the sense of going to the unknown. And not having anybody control the process or have a say at the process. Something so nice about being so lonely. I mean, as a director, you are lonely, anyway, but I think I miss that particular kind of loneliness. And I miss that virginity, I guess. That sense of just pure adventure. It was just an adventure. It was not even doing a film. It was just going on an adventure and hoping that something magical will happen and maybe it will stick together. I don't know. Maybe I can say that nothing has topped that since, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. It's when it's your soul and your passion and you just follow that, then there's nothing, comparable to So I'm glad you had that experience. That's
and I will maybe one day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. My Salon, you wanna tell us what your best experience was?
Yeah, I think I don't know if all of you know that I just finished working on my first TV show, and it was for local cables here, but now I'm in a negotiation for the selling internationally. So I hope all of you also will enjoy that. But the opposite actually from the TV work, which is craziness, madness at all. Of course, I have to go back for the money side that affect everything. Mm-hmm. So from the after I finished all that craziness, I felt so like missing the cinema working from the intimacy side that I had with the girls that we created like a family, and we took our time, and it was like magic after magic and all that. And in my TV show working, it was like, I think maybe train fast, and I tried to handle it and not to fall every day and every day. It was for my heart. It was so difficult, and so I really miss that feeling for creating with intimacy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. It kind of parallels to what Hagar said. Like it's more of a, not a loneliness, but like a privacy and intimacy feeling, which is really interesting. Yeah, for sure. Azadeh,
I think like one of the best experience of my life was my time in Korea. Because I got a fellowship there and like studied with like the best Korean cinema team, and like I worked with the cinematography team of Memories of the Murderer.
Wow!
I was like, and like it was a great opportunity, and one of the best aspect of it was that I got to direct actors speaking in Korean, and Korean was just a language that I absolutely had no idea about. And but then it became something about like being a human being and delivering only feeling and see how it works. It was very beautiful. It was a very unique opportunity. Also, it was like one of the time that I worked with international cast and crew. It was and it was a very unique opportunities, and the film was actually screened in the like Busan International Film Festival, and it was my first red carpet walk. So it was it was a great, to this day it was a very great experience, learning experience, meeting a lot of Asian filmmakers. To this day, they're like my connections. Good memories.
That's awesome. What a beautiful opportunity to also mingle different cultures. That's awesome. So I want to move on to like a dream world, a world where there are no limits. So if there were no limits at all, what would be your dream project to work on? Like no limits, financial, political, nothing. What would be like what you dream about when you go to sleep?
Whoever wants to
say. Go ahead, Azadeh.
Yeah, like actually, every project that I work on is kind of like a dream project. But right now I'm working on my first feature film, and it's kind of inspired by my personal life story, and it's kind of like a love story between an Iranian and Israeli couple in the USA, and how the relationship is getting affected by not only the propaganda and the conflict in the region, but also with the like strange and labyrinth immigration system in the USA. So that is, at this moment, this is like my dream project. I think it's a very important project. Especially it happened during Trump's presidency, which we know how it was, and and it's kind of like it's based on like kind of inspired by my personal experience, and I really want to tell that story. This is going to be my dream project at this moment. Yeah,
that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
Really exciting. Really exciting. My Saloon, you wanna tell us?
Yeah, of course. I think each project we start, it has to be started from dream, and the Casino Beirut that I really talked about it is it's the first musical that I gonna make. It's a political musical, and it's at the 70s, and it's like My Moulin Rouge. So I really dream like every day about that project. So I hope that it will be as I dream.
Awesome. I hope so too. Hagar?
Well, maybe just to remake all the films by Douglas Sirk, and then just maybe I mean, I think that there are two. There's one project that has been haunting me for years, but it fears everybody. Everybody's scared of it, so nobody ends up financing it. It's a movie about a female bodybuilder, and she's crazy. So it has that almost potential, and it's intriguing. But then, in the end of the day, everybody's scared to touch that woman. So there's that. My next feature film is a large scale kind of movie, and it has a lot of kids. So in many ways, I would hope that the budget of that movie ends up being the right budget. So I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, I assume you can all identify with what I'm going to say. We can do movies with whatever money we get. We will manage everything. We will learn how to manipulate everything, and we will get everything made. I learned that is something I'm never supposed to say out loud, but in this particular moment, maybe I can say that. But it's true, we can. We've learned budget. So I hope for the next one I get to do it as it's supposed to be, as it's meant.
Well, I hope all of those happen for you guys. That would be amazing. I want to move on to the vision part of our panel today. So when you hear the term agents of change, what does that bring up for you as a filmmaker? Whoever wants to start.
I have actually to ask how the like cinematic problem that we are talking about will be changed when the reality is the same. This is actually the real question that I am wondering. I don't think that something can be changed if the reality is the same, and I think it's getting worse.
Right. Yeah. So I think what this part of the panel is this idea of like an idyllic world and a dream world, and how in that dream world, what does agents of change mean for you if you didn't have really limits, whether again it's political or or things like that. What would that bring up for you as a filmmaker? What would you be able to do as a filmmaker in that alternate reality, which is not the case right now, right? It's this dream world.
Okay. Because I think my mind cannot get there even.
Yeah.
Because I think if everything is okay, so the Palestinian problem is solved, then everything can be changed. That I think this is the main core issue that affects everything. And as a Palestinian, I think if this problem will be solved, so the refugees will come back, so the stories will be more and more, so it will be wow, the world will be wonderful. But I think this is something I really doubt it. But if we are like so optimistic and we can like imagine something like that, I think it will be like all the different normal places at the world, that if they can be a really industry, they can really be open, and the collaboration can be like normally happen with so different countries, and you can work free. I think this is like the last days, I have to say, as for me. But yeah, it can be a wonderful time. It can happen.
Of course.
First of all, as I said, for the real problem, the real issue is the like end of the occupation, end of the refugees. So yeah.
Right. So through storytelling, how could you as filmmakers take on that role of agents of change, like those three words? As filmmakers, what kind of stories could you be telling? Would you want to be telling, as filmmakers, which is what you all are.
I can jump in.
Yeah.
When I think of agent like change or like whatever, I think of as a filmmaker, I think of heart-based storytelling. Like something that is really coming from our heart, and it's not affected by the fear that we are like bombarded with all the time. And I think like in the USA, they've been like the filmmakers here, they've been doing it for a long time. Especially, for example, think of LGBTQ stories, or like Black stories, like having more Black, having more Muslims, having more like characters in the films. I think it's important to say like those heart-based stories that come from our heart, that come from like the true meaning of who we are as a human being. And also there's also opportunity for us to normalize that hope in our films. For example, we can normalize the friendship between I don't know, a Palestinian or an Israeli, or like an Iranian and Israeli, which is actually happening, when we we are all human beings and we connect, regardless of political issues, where we are from, or how we are different, we kind of connect. And if we emphasize on that, I think that can bring change gradually. Not with a film or two, but like with a stream of that, with a stream of normalization of friendship, acceptance, having characters like the same thing that is happening here, having characters from minorities in empowerment stories, things like that. I think that's something that we need to do as filmmakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Hagar, anything you'd like to add?
I would say that I think that we need to strive or aspire to independence, and I will explain. I mean, but we are all filmmakers who wish to walk red carpets, and we wish for our films to be seen and loved. And the strange thing that has happened here in Israel, I can say, is that we aspire to be recognized by Europe. Our destination, the people we speak to, the money that we need to get is from European countries. The festivals we want to get to are in Europe. So basically, in many ways, I think this provocative cinema that we're talking about and trying to do is cherishing the European perspective. I mean, nobody in France has ever seen a film that is seen by 1 million Israelis. Nobody, I've never seen a film coming from Turkey that is not by Nouri. And I see only the films that are recognized by Europeans. And there's a committee sitting in Paris and deciding whether an Israeli girl or a Palestinian girl will do her movie in Israel or anywhere else. And I think that there's something in this structure that we have surrendered to, that in my perspective, that defines the problem, and it creates a dangerous loop in which we create movies that will be accepted by a European committee so we can be successful, so we can walk red carpets. And I would want to know much more about real films coming from Tunisia or Turkey and what the people in Turkey see. And I would want the French people to see the shitty movies done here to please hundreds of thousands of viewers. And I think that if we're speaking about this region and where I see that it fails, it's this. So obviously there is only one solution to this, and the solution is called money. So, you know, I would say that as agents of change, if we can call it that, the biggest inspiration should be to manage to get financing that is from within and not from Europe. Which means sorry?
No, go ahead.
Which means in the end of the day to have the freedom to tell the stories that we want to tell, and not in the sense of having to please the European eye.
to not be needing to rely on Europe so much on a practical level, what systems do you think need to be in place in order for the film industry to thrive in the Middle East? It can be unions or financial incentives. It's always money, but like outside of money, you know, educated and trained technical crews and actors, film schools, studio systems.
All of those.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay.
All of the above. Anything that stands out in the list that I just mentioned that you feel like is really lacking in the Middle East and that could really use, you know, if you had to make like a top 3?
Money.
Yeah.
Money.
And the professional crews. Yeah. This is the top.
Money and professional crews. Yeah.
I work in the USA, but when I was there, I always liked. I still love co-production. That's something that I love to do. But now, like Hagar saying that, it's actually difficult because you have to go to Europe and you have to get opinion and approve. But I think like if we could have co-production in some sense within the region in an ideal world, that would be like the best thing, especially like if we think of like how like locations, a lot of locations in the Middle East are almost rarely seen. So that's also a unique opportunity here if we can like make films in those locations, locally hire people in that ideal, that would be great.
Yeah. You know, this festival is about this dream of a unified or redefined MENA region. So what are your hopes and dreams for what that might look like specifically through the lens of filmmaking? You know, so unified or redefined MENA region, you know, kind of like the European Union, kind of how they're all together, you know?
Yeah, well, it took them hundreds of years to get that done. So have some patience. We're kind of new.
Yeah.
You know, I think it raises interesting questions in the sense of making art in a place that doesn't have a conflict. And conflict is the basis of filmmaking and storytelling. You know, there's obviously power in that, and there's always, I consider myself always having more strength coming even to work in the US, and I've been working there in the past 3 years. Being the outsider, I think it's a powerful point of view, and I think it's a powerful place for an artist to be, if we can call ourselves artists. So I think that, you know, the aspiration to unify the filmmaking industry is a good inspiration, but not at any cost, because I think that the particularity of a nation is something that also defines the artist. I mean, in a way, it stands against what I said at the beginning, that how I wish not to be in need of representing anything or anyone, or just being, you know, a filmmaker who can tell a story about, I don't know, a truck. And I think that movie that I will do about the truck and the tire that went broke is a film that stands only for something that I want to tell at a specific moment. And I think there's a lot of power in that, but I also think there's a lot of power of coming from a place with a story, and coming with a place that has nothing but a conflict. But if you're talking about, a unified region or a redefined region, I think that in the sense of there are many, many similarities in all of us, other than we all have curls. I think that we come from, a certain similar aesthetic and a similar value for human life and a similar value for family, and there's much alike. I mean, in the sense of Jesus, Muhammad, and Moses, I think there are many similarities in this very primal beginning, and I think that if we manage to eventually find a common ground and to create together, it will have a great deal of power. I would be very, very happy to be able to go to Beirut and meet filmmakers there, and co-produce things, because I think that the stories we share have the same human basis.
Of course. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I just want to mention that my saloon had to leave. She's on mommy duty. She has a newborn baby, so she had to leave us a little bit early. To piggyback on like the last question, do you feel like a unified MENA region would improve the movie making process? Like, and if so, by how much? 5%, 10%, 90%, 100%. What are your thoughts?
I can go. Like, I think the best thing, when I think of like if we want to compare Europe and with that like unified Middle East, I think the best thing that happened in Europe is like bigger market for distribution. And when you have distribution, distribution means sales, right? And sales means money. And especially like right now after COVID, it's just a lot of streamers, they're looking for regional, international subscribers. So like in that unified Middle East, there is a huge market in terms of distribution. And hopefully that would give more money for just local stories. I've seen a lot of local stories like from Israel. Actually, I watch a lot of films from Israel, and I think like through Netflix. That is like Netflix original, and I think it's powerful. And I also see a lot of Netflix original. I saw one from Jordan, and I saw several from Turkey that like people in the USA can watch, and the money is through Netflix for that local story and local like kind of hero. And when if we have like, and the same thing is true for like if we have like this unified region, we can be a powerful distribution destiny, and that will bring more money into the region. And as I said, that could also bring, if we give tax incentives, that could be like locally or even internationally. The same thing is happening like in France, they give tax incentive, in Spain they give tax incentive, and you can go to that place, do co-production, and make money and just hire local crews. And then in that sense, it's good also for economy. It's like everyone wins in that situation. So I think like that for me, that would be a dream to have like Middle East as a destination, like a distribution destination. Everyone say, oh my God, we have, for example, 200 million people there. We're targeting 200 million people. So we give money to this local story because there is sales, we can sell. Unfortunately, sell is all about, this industry is about sell.
It's true. I got anything to add?
I mean, if we won't be a war zone, I'm assuming that will just help everything. Also, filmmaking. I can maybe just add to that I think that there's a certain appeal that we have, and I think that like David and Goliath kind of scenario in which nobody knows already who is who, but it still remains a good story. So that's what we are, I think, in the perspective of the world, and I think that building a new scenario is a good idea, because it's always better to be surprising than to be what people expect you to be. So I think that if borders do open, and we won't have to go to Jordan if we want to shoot a scene that looks like it was shot in Tehran, so it will make everybody's life quite easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Tehran was shot in Greece, right?
Yes.
In Athens.
Yes, but also,
and I told them actually the production design was very good. I was like, wow, it's amazing. Congratulations.
I will tell them.
That's awesome. If this organization, that connected all the Middle Eastern countries did exist, like we mentioned, like the European Union, where there's no borders and the same currency, what do you think the industry and on a bigger scale, the world would gain from it?
It's such a hard question, because I mean, we're dancing around this question because it's really hard to answer it, because at the moment, I think we're all nationalists, even if we don't want to be, and even if it's not the core of our existence. This is who we are, and you're really talking about a tectonic change. So it's even hard to imagine what my life would be if my kids would be speaking Arabic as well. And I think that that question of what do children speak, which languages do children speak when they start their life, I think it's an essential question. For me, it's painful that they don't speak Arabic. I think it's ludicrous, and I think that if this coexistence does eventually happen or somehow is born, I think that the essence of filmmaking will change, because my kids who will be filmmakers will have multinationalities. They won't be like me, kids who were born into war and into despair. So I think that it's like creating a new set of images and stories, because they will grow into a different world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm both Belgian and Tunisian, so I do have a European passport, and all of Europe is open to me. I'm very lucky because of that. So like, it would be the idea of having one passport that opens the doors to all the other Middle Eastern countries. You can go work, you can do whatever you need to do, which is like, it's a dream right now, right? But nothing's impossible. I always strongly believe that, so it might take a while, but it might take a lot of change, but I have faith in humanity, and
and in Disney. We all love Disney, so yeah.
Yes, that too. In the spirit of unity, what kind of stories do you think could lead the way moving forward?
I think in that unified region, if we have that, it's an opportunity for us as Middle Eastern to give the world a new perception, a new story about who we are. Actually, we can show them who we really are, you know, beyond all the conflicts, beyond all the war, beyond all our differences. The region is actually, it has a very beautiful heritage. We have deep stories, kind of civilization somehow started in that region. And we have heroes that we can introduce to the world. We have beautiful like locations that we can show to the world. We have beautiful, strong actors, actresses that we can send out. Yeah, and we can actually, by being localized and international, we can have like strong languages, like make our languages heard by other people in the world as well. That's also like, it's very powerful in that sense. Yeah, I think the story could be kind of our true story, or a like dream story. Something, as I said before, something that comes from our heart, rather than just the fear that is imposed on us. That's like the ideal, the idealistic way of it, if you want to think about it.
Yeah. You know, when Trump was elected, I remember telling my man, I wonder what kind of movies are they going to make now, because it was a really interesting moment in time, and I was very curious to see what Hollywood's reaction would be to Trump being elected. And we ended up with Parasite winning the best Oscar, and I think that the effect that politics has on art is something that is truly unpredictable. I mean, I think no one could ever make an imaginary connection between Trump being president of the US and the masterpiece Parasite winning the Oscars, a foreign film for the first time in the history. Because I think that it is our role, in a way, to, as filmmakers, to breathe the world and to breathe the politics of the world. And I would say that the greatest artists in all time were always some sort of prophets as well, writers, playwriters, filmmakers, and painters. So I think that there's really no way of knowing where it would go, because that is the beauty of it. That is just a mesh of intuition that people have, that is reflective maybe to the politics in all sorts of different ways. So I hope that we can't answer that question, because I hope something new will happen to us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We're taking questions from the audience at this point. Okay. So if the audience, hello, you'd like to leave a question, you can send a comment to the live chat that is currently streaming. We do have one question already. So what would it take for a general Middle Eastern film market to start taking shape? What would it take for Israel to take part of it?
Of what? Can you ask that again, please?
Yeah,
I didn't hear it.
No worries. So what would it take for a general Middle Eastern film market to start taking shape? What would it take for Israel to take part of it? In your opinion?
It's a very good question. I mean, I think that if there's something happening in how the Israeli, I will approach this from the TV discussion. I think there's something very powerful happening in the TV arena in Israel. Many Israeli shows are very successful abroad, which somehow has an influence on the Israeli film world as well. I think that the Israeli TV is in many ways teaching the potential that Israeli cinema has, and I think that Israel is at a point that every leverage that she gets from the world is a gift, because the perception of Israel in the world is very, very problematic, as we all know. So I can't answer that question in a definite answer, because it's a situation in which you can either dramatically lose or dramatically win, in the sense of fixing the perception of the world about Israel, or the exact other way around. I think, though, that is a very good question, because it is, in a way, maybe the first stone in building this union, this unification.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Azada, I know you're not from Israel, but do you have any thoughts about that?
I was thinking that, like, I know a lot of filmmakers from Israel. I work with them here, and I think what can happen is just when Israel makes, like, especially TV shows, it can if there is somehow they can be streamed for all the region as well. That can create change gradually, right? I remember when I was in Iran, we used to watch Turkish TV shows, like Iranians would watch that. So I was thinking, okay, if like they can also watch an Israeli TV show, how it can change their perspective about Israel, And like in Iran, everyone has satellite, so it's not a question. Like it can happen. It can happen, and it's like a window to a world that is not right now accessible, and maybe we can see through that. We can see, like, in 10, 20 years from now, maybe the change that we want or the peace that we want can happen.
Absolutely. Is there anything you guys would like to add as, like, a closing statement or anything you'd like to share before we end this panel, which has been absolutely wonderful?
Well, I want to say that personally, I am kind of hopeful that one day, as I said, maybe 10, 20 years from now, we can have, like, this not 100% unified, but a more peaceful region, which allows for at least a little bit of cultural exchange. And I think that with cultural exchange, change can happen. That's my perspective. We need cultural exchange.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Hagar?
Well, I would just say thank you for inviting me here. It was very helpful for myself to think about those things, and to give it actual meaning inside me of what it is storytelling and what it means to be a storyteller here, which is something that it's really been haunting me for many, many years as a filmmaker, especially. And I think that by this discussion, I learned that there is no answer, and probably the conflict that I live with will be my conflict to eternity. And maybe it's time that I learn to live with that. So thank you, because this is important and thought-provoking, and hopefully one day we will manage to have coffee together in Tehran.
Yes, that would
Fingers
be
crossed for that.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you,
you.
Hagar Banashar, and Maisalum Hamoud, for sharing your experiences and wisdom with us. This has been my absolute pleasure. Thank you, WCC's Programming Committee members, for curating this special panel with me, Natasha Karmani, Leah Reis, Lee Broda, Natalie Marciano, and Imbal Rodem Sagiv. Thank you, Anu and the Middle East Union, for having us. We're Women Creating Change. You can find us on social media. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, ladies, for being here with me today. I think this has been an incredible conversation, incredibly helpful, incredibly hopeful, which I think we need. We need hope in this crazy world of ours. And I wish you a beautiful evening, weekend, day, wherever you are in the world. Thanks again.
Thank you too.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Come, imagine with us.